Now, tonight, Joe Biden is trying to purge any Trump appointees from the advisory boards of our U.S. service academies, usually non-political positions, providing even more evidence Biden is needlessly politicizing even the military and trying to purge any and all conservatives from these prestigious schools. And, of course, it's just another way Joe Biden is trying to distract from his monumental failures on everything from, the borders and, energy independence, and inflation, abandoning Americans in Afghanistan, weak job growth, COVID failures, contradictions, confusion, mandates, open borders, you name it. And among those who were sent letters demanding their resignation include former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, former White House senior advisor Kellyanne Conway. She had the greatest tweet. She said to Joe Biden, President Biden, I'm not resigning, but you should. And she joins us now. Kellyanne, I guess that's why we've been good friends for 25 years. It's great to see you.
We sure have. Thanks for having me tonight, Sean. Look, I'm not sure that that's legal, but it certainly is low class. And let me just explain very quickly what these positions are. We're uncompensated volunteers. We are appointed for 3 years by a president, in this case, President Trump. You know, President Trump asked me what I wanted to do. Did I want any of these appointments? You have the Kennedy Center, the Fulbright scholarships, you have the Holocaust Museum, and I said, I want the Service Academy, and I'll tell you why. I had military spouses, and veterans in my policy portfolio all 4 years. And I met so many people along the way and were so impressed with some of the policies. Working for a president, Sean, that had 4 consecutive budgets where we invested over $700 billion each time in our great active military, equipping them with what they needed, and we're generously resourcing them, in addition to everything that he did for veterans. And, the president I worked for had strategic action that resulted as commander-in-chief in the death of 2 major terrorists, al-Baghdadi and Soleimani. President Biden's reckless actions resulted in the deaths of 13 service members. That's why I think he should resign. And I got to tell you, Sean, you know right now that Americans are hurting, very worried for this country and our great people. They see the effects of the negative Biden policies at the gas pump and the grocery car, inflation, the prices up. They see it at the southern border, 93,000 overdose deaths. The fentanyl is pouring in and coming into our kids' veins, our communities, our co-workers' bodies. It's a disgrace. But you know where Joe Biden is failing most? As goes the military and as commander-in-chief. So it's so ironic that they're running around talking about who's qualified, who should be on the service academies. This man is perhaps the most experienced and the least qualified president as commander-in-chief we've ever had. We should have trusted those 20 other Democrats who ran against him. They knew something, and we should have listened to him. You had 6 or 7 members of Congress and senators who had served with him. You had his own vice president basically calling him a racist. You had a member of his cabinet running against him. You had billionaires. You had socialists. You had an American Samoan. That's Tulsi Gabbard, not Elizabeth Warren. Don't get confused, everyone. They had a little bit of everything, and they ended up with Joe Biden, who none of them wanted. They had witnessed him as 8 years as vice president, and yet 20 other Democrats were warning us that he wasn't up to the task. He wasn't up to the fight, and he's not. What's happening now, as goes national security and our place around the world? He has emboldened our enemies. He has alienated our allies. He has abandoned Americans behind enemy lines, hostages as you call them, Afghan allies and interpreters. These women who had rights, again, will not anymore, and worse. Iran is developing nuclear weapons and enrichment. You've got China flexing its military muscle. You have Israel watching us negotiate with Iran. You have Joe Biden killing the Keystone Pipeline and approving Putin's. He killed energy independence. He killed energy jobs. So domestically, he's failing. But around the globe is what's really bothering me. President Trump had people in NATO, angry that he was demanding that they pay more of their fair share. He was standing up for America all over the globe. And, he didn't create any new wars. And these American service members, God bless their souls. And I was visiting with President Trump earlier this week, and we were talking about exactly that. And he's been in touch with so many of these families. They've been in touch with him. And these were 9/11 babies. Some of them were just babies, literally, when 9/11 happened. And now we've got a Taliban stronger with American taxpayer-funded military equipment in their possession. And this all happened on Joe Biden's watch. You know what, Sean? the UK Parliament denounced Joe Biden and his efforts in Afghanistan. That's the UK Parliament. So let's talk about who's not qualified. And now the polls here at home are catching up with him. You have the middle is really collapsing on him. These independents have an upside down approval rating of Joe Biden. And the only person really less popular than him right now in the polls is his Vice President, Kamala Harris. Each of them has a more unfavorable rating than favorable rating among independents. Kamala Harris, our first female vice president, 42% approval, 46% disapproval among women. Yeah. That's not sexism or racism. That's eyesight and hearing. Her giggling is no laughing matter. I don't know where she is. We need leadership. People see it. And, you know, President Biden said one true thing on July 23rd to Ghani. He said, I'm not a military man. Before he asked him to lie, he said, I'm not a military man. And we're seeing it happen.
We're glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Not too long. We'll continue.